aren't working at the office.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So we have about, our office is in Omaha, Nebraska, and we have about 60 W-2 employees, you know, non-virtual, like in the office, and very high-speed internet, computers, video editing, writers. It's an advertising agency. And we made the decision for everyone can work from home, and not everyone has a computer at home that can maybe handle the, you know, the video editing work.
Sure.
So they all unplugged the computers and signed a little notice saying you plan on returning it, and trotting back to home. And we are going to try to work. It's interesting. I think what's going to happen in the coming weeks and months, if however long this is, it might entirely change the culture of American business, at least in the professional services realm, to work virtually. That's almost like the norm. And maybe like in person becomes out the norm. I'm just throwing it out there, but like, we are now testing our entire company. Can we effectively work with structured meetings, like, you know, in the cloud, like through video conferencing to get the work done? And I guess the thing we put in place that was most important when you work like that is it's very hard to have ad hoc conversations. So you have to have very structured meetings when you work virtually. And I think as long as we do that, we'll be good for all of our customers there to get your work done. But we're all working from home.
Get real comfortable with Slack. Get real comfortable. Like, you know, Frank is the guy who brought the video email, you know, to the mass people that I've seen anyway. So bring the video software and the Slack so you can talk. And what other tips do you have for people who have to work like that, Frank? Since I know you have them. Yeah,
I mean, I can't stress the importance of daily huddles and structured meetings. So like let's say I was working on a small team of 4 or 5 on like a project, I would say, guys, look, we're going to meet in the morning on Zoom at 7:30, then we're going to meet at noon, and then we're going to meet at 4:30 or something like that. And let's keep like the constant inter-office chatter down, so we're not all constantly interrupting each other all day long.
Sure.
And let's maybe wait. Yeah, let's wait and let's come together like 3 structured Zoom meetings a day, because you're not able to kind of like, you know, reach over and say hi, and it gets distracting. So I think working virtual is fine in professional services like this, but having structured meetings, and, you know, I think it can be done.
So I'm curious, just from myself, Kevin, and I'm sorry, but what would you tell like the normal real estate agent out there in the United States today, out there trying to get their business on? Like, what's your advice? Because I'm super curious. I have a bunch of agents,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to think of the good message to go forward and what tools to use. So you, with 60 staffed people, I think.
Well, let's start with the basics. I'll tell you the basics. So at least when we're talking to the virtual guy here, right? I would make sure people have a headset. I mean, we kind of take that for granted. Like, you have your plugs in, and Tristan has a nice mic. But, you know, when you're working with staff or you're working with people and they, you know, hop on their phone, and the dog and the screaming kid in the background, you know, is sucking up all the, you know, all the, you know, I got kids too, right? Is in the background, you know, and they have to mute out to talk. It's really hard to hold a meeting when everyone's muting out, you know? So I think if everyone, I told this to the staff, I was like, you know, let's make sure everyone has some type of headset so we can communicate. And then maybe like a decent webcam. Probably the best webcam on the market is the Logitech C920. You can pick that up for like $50-$60. It's been like the staple of webcams. And I think that's what I'm using. I mean, Tristan, you look really good. What camera are you on?
Oh, Tristan looks good.
Yeah. Dude, I always look good. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
You look and sound great. You're well. See, Tristan's well lit. He sounds good. He looks good.
So here's one thing that I wanted to bring up, Frank, in that I'm using just the Mac camera, the latest Mac. I do have a mic. It's a Yeti mic, and I do have a light, and that's important if you're not in the lit area, right? Or if you're darker skinned like me, then you'll be like really dark. Oh, you know, Brittany too, or Sunit, obviously. Maybe Kevin. Kevin can pass off as a white boy. So
Look at that nose.
True. Yeah, he ain't passing.
Not a white boy nose.
So, but here's something. I did speak to the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway today, Chris Stewart, and he did talk about how he also said to all of the staff and recommended to all the Berkshire Hathaways for them to work from home. And he did talk about communication. They use, what did they use here? They used Microsoft Team, and we were going back and forth. I use Slack to communicate with our Lab Coat Agents team and then our Keller Williams brokerages and teams. So yeah, there's different ways to communicate, but definitely Zoom is by far the best one. You could use Blue Jeans. You can even go old school Google Hangouts, which is free, not that reliable, right?
Yeah.
But definitely I prefer Zoom. And then I also got to talk to Glenn Sanford with EXP today. And
Good. Yeah, big.
they have a whole system with Verbella, right? And they said they were getting blown up with different people. Yeah, what are you drinking? You should be drinking water. Look at John, dude. Please.
That's all right. I got you tomorrow at noon.
I'm watching. I know what's going on. But so everybody is adapting, and some companies are more like, I think for the most part, all of us here are very used to using the tools, but a lot of agents and a lot of companies aren't. So they're searching right now, right? I mean, John does a ton of video. Valerie does video. Rosie's already with EXP. Sunit does video. But yeah, Brittany and Kevin and Frank. I mean, that's your whole company, Frank.
Yeah.
But that's how I've seen companies adjusting right now. But here's a question I have for anybody that wants to answer it. For the real estate agents out there, how are you suggesting that they shift? Because some of the agents that I talk to are in the process of accepting this as like, okay, it's going to pass by next week, or this isn't real, or anxious, right? But truth is, this is real and it's happening, and you need to shift now before it's too late. So John, I'm going to go to John. John, take it away, buddy.
Well, first thing, thanks so much for inviting me. And the second thing, I was like to give back, Phil, because I think it's important when you get a privilege to come here and talk about it. It comes from experience. Through 2008 as an operator, 2000, 2002, .com, .bomb, sat in the rooms. And we sat in the rooms when we did the budget cuts. What a lot of people have not done, and that's okay, but this is just for the future, because this is a learning exercise for everyone, is we did 5% budget cuts, okay, when the market was great. And we were in a large organization, multiple offices, and then we stored that money so we could pile it on when everyone pulled away. Here's what I'm doing today. What we're doing today is, and I'll just tell you right now, I'm talking to all of my operators, and it's from multi-thousand plus agent companies down to large teams. Number one, what's the 20% budget cut? What's the 50% budget cut? What's the and ready? This is, and it's, you know, you can say that it's impersonal, but I have to be real. I need a 20%, a 50%, because you just can't go, oh, I'm gonna go 25. You get to 20 and you get there and it's not working, you gotta go 50. 20, 50, and then the layoff triage, the brutal stuff. Like, you've got to sit there, because here's what's going to happen is, and here's the neat thing. See, I've been through two of them. My bicycle's back there behind me. That was my car in 2008, and the $5 in the bank. So I've been there. And right now I'm actually sitting in it. And I'll tell you from a space of, and this is, listen, I'm not a sympathy guy, but I want to let you know too, I'm not sitting here as the coach and things are great. I have two things happening right now, so I can talk from the true experience. I'm closing escrow on a home Thursday. A. B, my daughter is the highest risk on the planet. She's had 25 heart surgeries, okay, and has been exposed at Hakkasan. So, you know, this comes from someone who's been through these things and has experienced it in real life from a consumer and a real life person, as we all are at certain levels. So, number one, get your 20% budget cut in place now. I'm not saying do it. I'm saying be ready. Have your 50% budget cut in place now. Have your triage of layoffs in place now in order of who you're going to do that with. Because here's who's going to make it through on the other side and who will not. And we're not even there yet. That's the really neat thing. The smart people aren't going to get through the other side because they're going to outthink it.
Interesting.
The smart people are going to outthink it, and they're going to pause. You can't move slow. You can't move slow. You almost have to move what people would say is premature.
Well, dude, you're my coach and telling me I'm smart and I'm gonna outthink it. We gotta talk. When's our call, man?
We already talked about what you're supposed to do.
I'm so excited. I'm the dumbest person in this room. Y'all have no idea.
Yeah. So quickly, a 20% cut that's ready, so that when you start seeing some certain trends that I'll be, we're looking at traffic. See, you can't get fooled by lead traffic. I got news for you. Lead traffic is going to go up. You better watch all the other pieces too. The lead quality is going to go down. People are sitting at home. They got nothing better to do. Don't get fooled. So yeah, 20%, 50%. And then the final thing I'm telling people is we all need to move forward, period, in some way, shape, or form. But we need to be very measured in our words. And the two things I've told people is keep moving forward. It's a beautiful opportunity. What I love about the time we're in, it's bringing us back to our foundation as human beings. And that's who wins. Okay, that's who wins. If you look at the best leaders aren't top producers. The science person, the grinder, they're the person with heart, yet people always choose that person and wonder why. So we're being brought back to our heart here. So I think now, from an individual agent to a team leader to a broker owner, for example, I had what I shared with one of my leaders, sit down and reach out to all 150 of your agents, sit on a couch on Saturday. How are you? How's your family? What can we do to support you? That's number one with your agents. Number two, with the consumer. How are you? I'm not calling about business. How is your family? What can Keller Williams ABC do to help you? That's it. Takes us back to that foundation of giving without expecting. So those are my simple things to follow. And I can tell you right now, it's winning. It's winning in a really, really big way.
That was great. I have a question, and I think this is really important. And I just got a message from an agent on my team who said, since I'm 65 and I'm supposed to stay home, what do I do? What do you guys say to someone who's an agent that is potentially at risk, and they want to make a living?
I encourage you to listen to what the government and the United Health Organization, CDC, are recommending, period.
Well, there's a thing. Oh, go ahead, John.
What I found, and this is really good, because this is where leaders are really going, and a really good question I brought it up, to bring it up, because we're going to get tested to be brought back to our heart, and that's what decides everything. Because if you ran a heart-centered organization with a culture, and that's what we do. I mean, just like people I work with, it's like, what are we going to talk about on the call? I go, I never know. And I do 80 of them a week. We talk about this much numbers. And so if your culture, what you're going to do is say, how can someone, and you know what, you reach out to someone else in that brokerage, and you reach out to someone else in that team. And I'm not talking to you, Kevin, but I'm saying to everyone that's a leader right now, if you have pause at that right now and worrying about, well, everyone's out for themselves, then it's another great growing moment for you. Because here's what I know, is people are going to rally around one another. So whatever people can do to support one another, and it may be someone taking that person's clients and giving them commission. I mean, whatever people need to do to support one another. It's a humanitarian. Yes, I love it. We're out of the real estate business now, you guys. We're in the humanitarian business. Bam.
I want to jump in on that one. I just recently, about 3 weeks ago, was diagnosed with a chronic autoimmune disease and vitamin deficiencies, which means I'm at risk. Where am I? Staging the house. So some of the fun things that I've done is maybe not tell this lady that, but I said I just cough and everybody would get away from me. But more importantly, I mean, I do carry the hand sanitizer. I've been very cautious of the times that I am doing things. For example, it's 9:30, 10 o'clock. I don't know what time it is, 9:30 at night. And I'm staging the property because I'm here alone. There is no risk when I'm all by myself. I am cognizant of the hand washing, the hand sanitizer. So I'm even in here by myself, hand sanitizing anytime I touch something. I would tell that other agent, follow her gut. If she has a partner, and she probably already does on her in her brokerage, partner with them, come up with some kind of way where they can be reciprocal. Maybe it's not a commission split. Maybe one agent becomes a showing agent and she becomes more of the TC and transaction coordination on the other side. I mean, you can easily work that out. And for me now, I'm lucky that I do have the team because they're out showing and they're out working. So that's what I got for that.
Anyone else have any thoughts on it?
That was it. Actually, go ahead, Valerie, unmute yourself at the top.
Oh, wait,
Got something.
Valerie. Rosie, I know Rosie has something. I think Rosie.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Rosie.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I have some suggestions. There's a lot of things that you can do actually. First of all, you can clean up your database. It's a great time to clean up your database. Get people's birthdays in your database and make sure that you're ready for when you can be busy. You can set up your database in Canva, for example, and you can set up some standard backs to your cards so that when you're ready, when it's their birthday, you have those all ready to go. The other thing is I see you guys sit here every day and do messages to us from your offices. So it's a great time to do messages to people from your office, webcams, Zoom calls, whatever we do. On whatever sub it out in your posts. Who do you know in this community that's doing something really exceptional right now to help somebody else, and then recognize them? You can get them on a Zoom call, whether it's a restaurant that's doing takeout, whether it's somebody that's serving lunch to kids, whatever it is, but you can do that from your home. I see it, everybody does that Zoom calls. And it's a great time to position yourself as an expert. So there's a lot of things you can do. And just like John said, if you've got a client, then you're just gonna have to partner with somebody else. But I don't think that's the biggest. If you want to talk to people, just call them and say, is there anything at all I can do for you right now? For example, there's a lot of opportunities for refinances. And if you have a mortgage partner, I happen to have a mortgage company. So it's a great opportunity for me. I put a sign out on my corner last week. Your interest rate's over 4%, come in and refinance. So you have to kind of triage and move into different things. The things I can do, one of the top of my list was to clean up my database and put everybody's birthdays in there. And just like, and Tristan, from you, it's a great opportunity to schedule coffees in the future. How many of us have actually taken you up on your challenge to meet people for coffee every morning? So you can schedule now for a couple weeks later, going out in front.
Great. That's awesome, Val. What do you think, Rosie? Well,
I have different thoughts. I mean, I've been thinking about this for the last 4 days obsessively, not on purpose, just because I've been locked up, right? Mm-hmm. But to John's point, I already, after the news of the Europe thing and the school closing, I already took the initiative and I already cut hours and I already have some layoffs. And this is because we all know that the market right now, people are scared and they're not really sure what to do. So that's just going to freeze everything. And we know that we're going to have the impact of that, in 60 days and 90 days. So there's no point in waiting around to see what happens. We already know we're going to have a dip. And in California, they can go file for unemployment, right? In some cases, I had people who have kids at home, and as soon as they announced that children were going to have to be at home, I knew they were going to want to take care of them as well. So part-time and layoffs, that's already been done. I went through 2008 with a Keller Williams office, 3 mortgage operations, and an escrow company. And I was able to come out of it. I didn't close any of my doors, but it took a lot of consolidating, a lot of part-time, a lot of cutting expenses. So the conversation that we're having now, I've been having it for a week with my husband about what are we going to do, because we had such a crazy week in terms of interest rates. We were under 3% and then we just climbed right back up. So it's very volatile. I would say that in terms of what message to send to realtors, in my opinion, I'm looking at where's the market going. And so I know that investors are kind of holding steady to see what happens. That's what I think. And so I think in terms of being a realtor, if you want to try to develop relationships with investors, that would be a good place to be, to kind of keep the wheel moving. I would also focus on sellers, because I would say that we're probably at the top of the market, just like right now. And so if you have a seller who was on the fence, or if you've got expireds, like I would just tell everybody, hey, you're at home, you have a phone, call all the expireds that you can, get all those people that were on the fence off the fence, because if you are able to sell and you are able to cash out 200,000, 300,000, it's not a bad time to do that. That would be one opinion. Your buyers are going to be freezing. They're going to be a little scared. They're not going to know what to do. They're going to wait until the dust settles. Maybe the dust starts settling in about 2 or 3 months, once all the news about, hey, we've got it under control and the curve is flattened and all those things. And so maybe late summer, we start getting some activity back from the buyers. I don't think the rates are going to change too much. So I think there's still going to be an incentive. Maybe people will start going back to work, or maybe we've adapted to a more virtual platform. And I do think that in many cases, at least for myself, I'm kind of looking at this as an experiment and saying, okay, I do have a physical location. Even though I'm with EXP, I still have a mortgage company. I'm running on a skeleton crew right now. I've set everybody up to work from home, because what if somebody does get sick? And I don't want to be in the what if and react, because reacting is going to lose, it's going to cause me to lose a lot of money. So I agree with the other person who was talking about reaching out to the customers. It's a really good time to reach out to them as their consultant, because they trust you, they know you. One thing that would be a smart thing to do maybe is to take advantage of whatever the rates are right now. They're going to be good. There's a lot of equity in homes. They can eliminate their mortgage insurance. They can pull a little bit of cash out, which will give them breathing room, because this is just the beginning. And maybe in a month or 2 months, the layoffs are going to start rolling in, possibly. So it's not a bad idea to kind of help them out and give them some advice. I'm sure they'll appreciate it, next year when they're ready to make a move, or the year after that. So those are just some things that are kind of in my mind. I know I've said a lot. I know I speak kind of quickly, but those are some thoughts that I have.
That's great. And before we got on this call, I talked with Frank and I talked with Tristan. And one of the things that Frank said, which I think is a really good point, he said, we're not in a banking crisis. This isn't a banking crisis. 2008, comparing this to 2008 is a different ball game. And I'm not saying, whatever. Everything you're saying is very valid. I just want to I think it's important to point out that this is a different situation. And then I talked to Tristan also about how there probably will be a recession, and what the recession simply means, I think it's 2 months of
2 quarters of down GDP,
of constricting GDP.
Yeah.
But everyone that you talked to, and everyone that for the most part is saying, and I don't want to speculate, but the anticipation of a recovery, if there is a small recession, nobody's expecting there to be another 2008, right?
Yeah, I think what the difference is that fundamentally our economy is solid, right? And so unemployment is really low as well. So in comparing 2007, 2008, 2009, there's no comparison with that. So what some economists are comparing it to is to 9/11. It was an anomaly. Right after the economy went straight up, and so that's the only thing that they can relate it to, because this is so freaking weird, right? And so hopefully, however long this lasts, right after that, we can now see the real estate agents that are still working as agents will definitely benefit from this a lot more. And so what John was saying, and Valerie, it's time to reach out to people that are close to you, whether they're people that you're working with, your colleagues, your employees, your staff. Make sure that they're okay, and your past clients, your sphere. I have my agents reaching out to them, and they're having these long conversations, and guess what, dude? They're connecting. Right. They're not going to buy anything right now, but who cares? People need someone to talk to and engage with and feel like you love them and you care.
Well, and people are paying attention. People are paying attention right now, and they're going to listen to what you have to say, and they want to hear what you have to say about the condition of the market and what your thoughts are.
You're either going to calm them, or you're going to create more pandemonium. which one is it going to be?
Right.
So I'm kind of the newbie on the call. I think 5 years on March 19th for me. The only thing that I can compare this to is our August of 2016 floods, where I think almost our entire area was devastated. What I would say is, again, become the community resource. We've talked about this so much with all the different devastations in different areas. I think now the difference is it's a nationwide, worldwide thing. I completely agree with y'all. If y'all know, or if y'all personally have contacts with any charities where people can get food. I mean, we have here where I am, my daughter's out of school until April 20th. So that's going to affect people in different financial ways where you're expecting to buy groceries for dinner and now you're feeding your kid and multiple kids all throughout. So I connect with maybe food charities. If you can help or donate or something like that, I'm a huge advocate for feeding people, as everybody probably knows because I'm always talking about turkeys. So make sure that y'all can help and become that source, and just even if you can find hand sanitizer. I think in Tennessee, from what I'm hearing, they still have it there. We don't have any that I can find in Louisiana. I'm having some shipped here for myself.
We're about to make some.
Yeah, my husband has Everclear at home and aloe vera plant, so the house might blow up, but it's all good.
Hey, Frank, I have a question for you, because before we got on the call, you brought up some really good points. You talked a little bit about iBuyer. You talked about, obviously, you're an amazing marketer. What do you think?
Thanks.
What are some things that, viral marketing?
Yeah.
What are some things that we can be doing as agents to take advantage of this? How can we benefit from this situation?
Well, I sent a message out that it's kind of strange now if you send out a video on 5 ways to improve curb appeal. It doesn't really necessarily fix what's going on in people's heads.
Irrelevant.
Yeah, and I basically said, look, for the coming future, however long it's going to be, probably for quite some time, people will be wanting to know what's the direction of home prices because of the pandemic. How do I stay safe at a showing because of the pandemic? Is there a way I could do an open house? How do I show my home buyers if I don't want buyers to my house giving me the virus? Is it possible to do a listing presentation over a Zoom meeting or over a video conference? I got to sell my house. Real estate's still going to trade. It's still traded in 2008, right? But how, as you, the realtor, can make it a little bit more easier for me? So I think being the calming voice, is very important. But one of the messages that we're working on as a call to action in the marketing is book a consultation with me. Like in real estate, you really have, there's no consultation call to action. It's usually find out what your home is worth or search for homes, right? Well, how about book a meeting with me, but through a video conference, and walk someone through who's maybe older or younger of there's the options and here's what you install, and we can actually talk on video, and it's totally fine no matter what you're dressed in or how you look. And it is possible that you can turn the screen around and you can show me your house, right? Depending upon what you have. And maybe, just maybe, we can close the listing contract and I can advise you through a video conference, so it's at least one less person going through your home, right? Mm-hmm. We have people doing this now, and they're like, man, I wish I would have done this sooner. I mean, I wouldn't have to drive out for an hour in traffic. And you get there, the kids are running around, dinner's cooking, one of the spouses isn't there, and there's distraction, and the chair wobbles on the kitchen table. And it's actually been easier. So I just want to maybe think about, how could you bring messaging to your database and in your marketing, saying, find out what your home is worth. Sure, search for homes and website, but meet with me. And I make that as painless and as frictionless as possible through video. I mean, I was watching a TV commercial, and for taxes for QuickBooks, and tax consultants, you chat with them live. I mean, there they are. You're in QuickBooks, and boom, tax consultant talks to you. I see on your buyer lead generation sites or whatever you're using that, hey, agents here, boom, there you are in video, guiding people through, showing them how to use the website. I think we're going to be heading more toward video conferencing more, even culturally now as things change.
Interesting. John, do you have you're obviously a coach nationwide, work with some of the top teams, most successful agents in the country.
Very good one.
What do you see? I mean, any tips on tactical approach? Of course, we're coming up we're reaching out to people from a humanity perspective. Anything that you could share in terms of what can we be doing tactically to work with clients and come out on the backside of this ahead, if that makes sense.
Right. So number one is contribution. Stop selling. Come from a place of contribution in everything you do. Contribute to the community. And one of the things, and let me give you a what not to do. And I tend to speak my opinion. And I think we all have a duty. We're all leaders here. And I'll tend to maybe be less politically correct. But I think the thing I want to really encourage people to do is just measuring our words. And so there's two things that are going on right now. There's this wanting to contribute, but I call it camouflage marketing. I want to caution camouflage marketing. And so what's happening is the let me feed your people, let me deliver you stuff. It's a good time to buy, it's a good time to sell, and interest rates are great. There is an appropriate place where, so number one in your messaging, if you're going to do something from contribution, separate it. Have it be totally separate from a real estate conversation. They know we're a real estate agent, okay? So number one, give back and contribute to the community every single day without the ask. Expect nothing. We have right now, because we jumped on this last week, and we're having all the agents, because here's what's gonna happen naturally. And it comes back to just the principles, give to not expect. I'd say to anyone that's in this room too, I just want to share with all of you, if all of you are set up and good for the next couple of years through this thing, no matter what happens, we all need to contribute. I'm ready for it. I'm good to go. And we're already taking on and helping single moms is my deal, because my daughter's a single mom. And so I just want to let you all know that. And I want you to rally your people around that too, because there's agents that aren't ready. There's our friends. And I'm just saying, we don't even know. Our friends aren't ready for this. They can't sit through 60, 90 days. And I'm not saying this from me knowing and disclosing something. I'm just not dumb. When 25% of our human population in the United States can't pay a $400 bill. A $400 bill. So contribution, I would be tilted in anything you can do in the community, like never before without an ask.
Example. Give some examples.
One thing, John, like tomorrow?
Sure.
Can I jump in here? Just, just on that note, because we're talking about contributing. And so I was a little freaked out when the kids got sent home. So I went to go talk to my homeopathic doctor. And this was because I was going to go pick up things to boost my immune system, because I'm a little bit of a health nut too. And she was going to do a talk on coronavirus. I said, let's do it live, because I had a ton of questions. And what I wanted was some peace of mind, right? And just to kind of hear from someone else. And then I recorded that. I shared it everywhere. And I realized that the same things that I was looking for, like other people, my customers, my consumers, my friends, my communities, they wanted some peace of mind. And so I think that if we continue to share messages that calm our community, our neighborhood, that's very important, because everybody's in a panic right now. And sharing the uplifting messages, I have seen some of the messages that John is talking about, like if you need something, and I know a lot of those are coming from a good space, and I know some of them might just be not 100%, from contribution. So what I wanted to communicate was, I think that things like that are good. It was definitely not for marketing purposes. It was just to kind of help people calm themselves and calm their nerves and feel like they would be better informed, right? And I think that as real estate professionals, everybody on here is very seasoned, and we're already being very proactive about what's happening. I think that as we continue to deliver those messages of like, hey, it's a little season, be prepared, we're going to be good. We continue to inform them on our perspective on what's happening in the market. I think that in itself is going to be helpful, not just to consumers, but also to our agents. That's it.
Yeah, I think
I would. Here's the next thing too. So what's neat in a call it a correcting, call it what you want to bring us back to core. It's going to take us to it's going to cause, so causing people to step through the doorways they need to step through, which is the fear of video. So communicating with people via video, because people are not, I know being inside of organizations, but number one, from a space of contribution, if you're going to do something for the community, have the message separate. Don't have buy and sell with me, period. It's copywriting 101, and it's not being slimy 101, and we're fighting for our professionalism, and we can really make it or break it. An example, go out and purchase, find and purchase 25 gift cards. One of my clients is purchasing 25 $100 gift cards from local businesses, and then giving them to a group of their past clients. So some of those type of things, just anything to support the local businesses. Be of counsel. How are you? How's your family? I just want to let you know, I personally, and we all, and here's the neat thing too, is we all have had great success and have different pieces. So I respect all of you with it. Personally, I don't think you bring a real estate conversation in it. You just don't, because you don't have to. You don't have to. How are you? How's your family? Is there anything Keller Williams, RE/MAX, EXP can do to support you? I just want to let you know, because guess what they're going to ask you? Come on.
Nothing, bro. They're going to ask for nothing.
Are you an agent? Are you an agent?
No, I'm talking about your past clients, where the gold mine is, because we've got to make money in this thing. Our past clients who we never ever call because we feel so uncomfortable because it feels cheesy.
Well, now's the time to call, right? Now they'll listen.
And they're going to say, hey,
call everybody.
See in the market. Well, here's what I see. I see a number of things. So you go into story instead of selling. Well, I see some people that are refinancing and pulling some cash out, and they're going to do some investing. I see some people, they were all systems go, and they kept their home on the market and sold it. I see some people that are buying. I see some people are pausing.
Yeah.
Be a pro.
Absolutely.
Here's an underlying tone as we wrap up, guys, that we're kind of going in circles around, and that's that it's up to us to lead. That's it. It's up to us to lead this industry into where it's just never been. And because that's why we all get told that we're like used car salesmen, right? Or as bad as attorneys on that whole list of where do we fall under. This is our opportunity to say, hey, look, consumer, we're here to help you. And this is how we're helping you, right? This is what we're doing to help you. We're taking control of the situation and becoming the leaders that we need to be. That's the key. And it starts with us here. We need to lead the way, because if we don't, people are going to be lost. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for solutions.
I want to throw one other piece in. We weren't given a script or a dialogue. And I'll tell you what I heard? Maybe it's a rumor. I heard there's a coronavirus script document running around how to handle the objections.
Bullshit. No way.
Are you
Not
serious?
bullshit.
Google it. Someone Google it right now. I'm looking.
No. I'm just going to leave it there. And I don't start rumors. I don't need to create bullshit. I just know this. There's an organization putting it out there. Okay. So I mean, here's what. You know what? We don't have a script or a dialogue or objection handler for it. You know what we have? We have our emotional intelligence we get to work on. And we have our emotional maturity. Because, by the way, we got away from it with all the tricky scripts and dialogues and objection handlers, because everyone wants to buy. No one wants to be sold. The heart chooses, the mind justifies. I love it. We're being brought back to who we are, what we do, and what we stand for. And I'm passionate about it.
I can tell slightly, slight passion there.
I was going to say something. I don't know which one of y'all made me think about this, but we all had careers before we were real estate agents. For example, I was a homeschool mom. On my Facebook feed right now, I'm seeing pretty much everybody confused on actually how to school. So y'all just pick something where Linda's a homeschool mom. We can get together, teach people how to schedule your days with homeschooling kids. Can y'all hear me okay? Sorry.
I hear you just fine.
Final thoughts, guys. Tristan.
I think final thought is this, man. It's really up to us to differentiate ourselves from everyone else. And I think you look at one of the latest books written. It's called The Infinite Game, and he talks about approaching this as a time. It's an opportunity for us to look at this and say, this is who we are. This is what we stand for. And this is how we're going to make a difference in the world that we're in. And this is that time for us, right? This is what we've worked up to. This is it.
Love it.
Sooner,
Thank you all very much for being on. To everyone that listened in, I can speak for myself, and I think for everyone on here, we're all willing to help in any way. If anyone has something that they want to talk about, feel free to reach out to us. We're pretty easy to find. This is a great conversation. Thank you all very much. We'll be doing more of these as the days go by, and just really appreciate an honor to spend the time with all you amazing folks here tonight. Everyone have a great weekend.
Thanks for putting
Bye.
Thanks,
guys.
guys.